Baddie soldiers. We're calling today's look Ode to an Instagram Baddie because I have a blush on my nose, an honestly offensive amount of highlighter on, and I'm wearing a cardigan as a shirt with no shirt underneath. Also, here's a girl sitting alone in her bedroom being like, here's how to model, and if that's not like an Instagram model thing to say, I really don't know what is. Wow, we started off this video real shady. While we're on the subject of Instagram baddies, can we just look at this amazing eyebrow? Like, a 10 out of 10 would swipe right on Tinder for this eyebrow. Like, if I saw this eyebrow, I would read its entire profile and then send it a message that did not involve a dick pic. Like, oof. The last time that I attended Fashion Week here in Vancouver, I met a lot of new models, and they were saying some things that made me laugh, and I've had a couple extra people lately ask me some modeling things, or I'll say something and then they're like, wait, what? So I feel like now's a good time. We're gonna do a video about modeling related things, which hasn't happened in a hot minute on this channel. So today, let's jump into top 10 misconceptions about modeling. Number 1, modeling pays a lot. People seem to think that because it's perceived as glamorous, that models just show up and walk a runway and bat their eyelashes a couple times in front of a camera, and then thousands of dollars are just appearing in their bank account. Bitch, tell me where and who and how that is happening for. Regardless if you have an agency or not, I feel like models are all kind of freelancers. So freelancing in any capacity means that your jobs come in fits and starts, and you often get paid on a schedule, and it usually changes quite a bit depending on what month or year or campaign that you book. You can do a job in March and not get paid for it until like next March, or you can do a job for, you know, something on Friday and then you get paid on Monday morning. It really just depends. Plus, a lot of things just don't pay at all. Like, especially in Vancouver, it's a pretty small market, so a lot of stuff here is what we call TFP, or trade for print, which means that instead of a photographer spending money to hire a model and a model spending money to hire a photographer, you kind of just collaborate. That's a big word in the modeling industry. You collaborate on something and then both parties get pictures and they can use them however they want. So modeling does pay well if you book certain jobs, and often you have to book multiple certain jobs to be able to make a decent amount of money / make a living off of modeling. And it's so hit or miss. You can't say like, oh, runway pays better than print, or Vogue magazine pays better than Elle magazine. Like, you really can't say it, and I know some industry secrets that Vogue magazine does not pay as well as people may think it does. But at the same time, there was one time that I almost booked a $30,000 perfume campaign. I'm so mad that I didn't. So you could make substantial money on this, but for the most part, you're looking at maybe like a couple $100 to maybe a couple thousand per job. Number 2, walking a runway is easy. To that I say, bitch, would you like to see my feet? Oh, that came out so much weirder than I was expecting it to. If you say, oh, but runway's so easy, to a model, expect to have a high heel thrown at your head. First of all, runway training can take years to be able to perfect your walk, because you can't just walk like you're in the aisle 2 of a grocery store. You need to walk. And it's a very delicate balance of shoulders and hips and legs, and the way that you step, and the way that your arms swing, and how your head is, and how still you are, and your posture, and your face, and whatever lighting you're under, and the outfit, how to make it look good, the pacing to the music. Plus, even if you can do all that, it takes a lot of guts to walk out in front of sometimes thousands of eyeballs, all looking at you, and lots of lights and cameras everywhere. Like, it takes courage. Plus, in the shows that provide you shoes, sometimes these shoes don't fit you properly. I've had shoes that are 2 sizes too small, I've had shoes that are 4 sizes too big, and you have to make it work. I've had to strap on a shoe so tightly that it was cutting off my circulation and stuffing the toe of it with tissue paper to be able to make it fit me, and then also I've had to like zip shoes on just before I go onto the runway because there's no room for my toes, but they're the only shoes that are available and the designer wants you to wear them, so you have to wear them with your foot being crushed in this little torture device. One time I was wearing shoes that were too big that I took a step and the shoe went flying down the runway. I mean, I recovered from it like a champ, but like, between fittings and rehearsals and dealing with snotty designers and dealing with the backstage people and shoes and being nervous, walking a runway is definitely hard work. Number 3, you can rise through the ranks like that. Just like you work your way up the ladder through a corporate world, you have to make your way up the ladder through the modeling world as well. The first step is to get your face out there, so that's pretty easy now. There's plenty of websites and Facebook groups, that Instagram, etc., that you can contact people and start booking shoots and kind of practicing your posing, practicing your runway. Getting to know people is going to be key, because I feel like in Vancouver especially, it's a very small market, so even if you haven't worked with that person probably will have worked with someone that you've already worked with, so everybody knows everybody. Plus, even if you do all of these things and you get your posing down, you practice your runway, you kind of have to cross your fingers that your look is going to be in style that season, which I know is a little fucked up, but it's still part of the industry. Besides having the right body, the right measurements, and a good marketable modeling face, your personality is going to be the deciding factor on whether you get booked or not. So that means not showing up to photo shoots late, that means not being bitchy, that means being able to adapt to things that happen, that means being polite to people when you want to say no to something. I know girls who have worked for years in the industry and still haven't made it. Number 4, oh, you just show up and pose a little and then walk away. After the 10th consecutive hour of wearing heels, if you said that to somebody, they probably would slap you. Long hours are normal, be it at shoots or runway shows. You're often not fed or fed very little. You're often standing in heels or in constrictive things, be it special underwear or special garments, and you're probably running around super busy, because during peak casting times, I once went to 8 castings in a day, and there was probably more that I could have made. You can't go into a photo shoot at 9 a.m. and expect to be done by 10:30, okay? It doesn't work like that. Modeling is time-consuming and physically demanding. Myth number 5 is that models don't eat. I mean, salad's a model's best friend, but pizza is hardly the enemy. Because the modeling industry wants you to be very small, food is often a tricky subject around people. There is plenty of talk about eating disorders in the modeling industry. Some girls are just naturally very thin, while other people have to become complete gym rats just to get that measurement down and keep it down, like me. However, all us models are still human, and we like chocolate cake way more than we like kale green smoothies. If you walk through a pack of models at Fashion Week with a pizza, there is a very high chance that we may all jump you. Well, it's true models tend to eat very healthy and usually not a lot by like regular standards. You know, we love going out after shows for all-you-can-eat sushi. It's one of my favorite things to do. Myth number 6, modeling is so glamorous. Parties, champagne, paparazzi, fashion. Oh my goodness, it's so exciting to be in it. Being a supermodel seems like a pretty glamorous position to be in, but I mean, if you wore a fuck ton of makeup and had a beautiful designer dress worth way more than you could afford for rent in like the next 3 years, I mean, you probably look pretty good too. Yeah, I look like that for like 20 seconds on a runway, and then I get out and put my hair in a bun and put on sweatpants. They're just normal people that have a bit of a higher profile job than like an accountant. Some model apartments have up to 8 girls living in one space. I think the most I ever had was 6 to 1 apartment. And sometimes you're friends and sometimes you're not. A lot of the times that your apartments don't have proper beds or bathrooms, or you're sharing one bathroom with an entire hallway of people, and because you're in the spotlight so much and you're constantly being judged and picked apart and photographed, a lot of girls do turn to things like alcohol or drugs to kind of deal with it, and long hours or binges can easily be covered by a bit of concealer for the camera the next day. Models have to paste on a smile regardless of how they're feeling, just like any good business person would. Number 7 is you have to be skinny to be a model. I did a whole video on this last year, so I'll just pop that right up there. But the gist of that video is that a lot of people think that you need to have one type of body to be a model, because that's the one that we see most often in magazines or what have you, that they're tall and very thin, like no chest, no hips. But honestly, the majority of the modeling world uses regular sized people, or perhaps very thin people that are naturally thin or that like have other types of bodies. Like, you're not gonna go to Nike and see an ad for sports equipment with a girl that's super thin, looks like she could like fall apart at any moment while trying to hold a basketball. Like, no, you're gonna see like a muscular woman mid-stride running in an ad for shoes, you know? You don't necessarily have to be really thin to do orange juice ads. You just have to have a really good smile and, you know how to hold something and have nice hands. This is called commercial modeling, and anybody can be a commercial model because it just means stuff that is not high fashion. Problem is that we see the majority of high fashion as the only type of modeling, but that is not true. Plus, commercial modeling tends to pay a lot better and more consistently, so you could actually have a career doing toothpaste campaigns and being that extra that drives that car in that one commercial than you can booking 4 Betsy Johnson runway shows in a week. Number 8, people ask me about the most, and that is the myth that people give you things. Oh my god, I wish this was true because modeling is so expensive. You have to bring your own shoes, you have to buy your own clothes. Sometimes if you travel, you have to pay partially or all for your plane ticket. Companies and brands will sometimes gift you things, but very rarely, and usually only if you are a high status model where wearing their product would make them look good. So you're spending a lot of money and you're not getting any product, which is something that a lot of people for some reason think. Every time I walk off a runway in this beautiful dress, they're like, oh, do you get to keep it? I'm like, bitch, I wish, but no. I mean, it would be amazing for me if every designer that I ever walked for gifted me the thing that I walked in, but like, it's not happening. So if you want to get into modeling, be prepared to spend a bit of money up front. Myth number 9 is that you can walk in off the street. I mean, yeah, it sort of can. They have these things called castings. Sometimes people get scouted, you know. So like you can, that's not wrong, but that does not happen as much as people seem to think. People seem to think that you could just walk down the mall and someone would be like, oh my god, you're the next Cara Delevingne, please come with me, let me whisk you away into the world of modeling. And like, it would be amazing to just be, you know, walking through the grocery store and then the week later you're, you know, doing Dolce & Gabbana runways in Paris. Well, the overnight success definitely is a thing. That is not happening for thousands and thousands of girls that start modeling every year. Months, years can go by before you reach supermodel status, regardless of how beautiful or tall or thin you are. I have never reached supermodel status, and I've been doing this for 8 years. Regardless of how hard you work or how beautiful you naturally are, there are no promises in modeling. And lastly, myth number 10 is that models are dumb. We get a lot of flack for being dumb, and how many times have you heard, oh, models are so stupid? But many of these pretty faces are much smarter than your average salary man. I have met so many models that are truly so dumb. But I have also met many people that are way smarter than me, and honestly, just, like, they have it all. It's honestly not fair. Like, they're gorgeous, and they're successful. It's rare that you'll ever go to Fashion Week and not see some girl studying with a math textbook or, you know, doing homework in between shows. I mean, I personally am an English major and do a lot of stuff in the writing and reading community. I have a model friend who's an architect. I have a model friend who's a biochemist. I know people that work at fashion magazines. I know people that work for art schools. I know somebody that's like really high up in the tech industry, and they're all walking runways. Walking runways, both. It's honestly very inspiring to talk to a lot of these people, because sometimes, you know, they're like 14 years old and just want to model because it's glamorous, but they're like also studying for their chemistry exam. Or sometimes you meet people who, you know, can only come for one show because they're only in town for a couple days because they're flying all over the world with their own company. It's really cool to meet all these people. So there you have it. There are the top 10 misconceptions about modeling. I hope you maybe learned something today. I have a ton of other videos on being a model and what modeling really is and all that jazz. Okay, I'm so done with this idea. I guess it's only good for photos because this thing keeps just dropping and price you pay for fashion. Leave any comments or questions down below. We'll see if I get to answering any of them because exams are happening. That's fun. You know where to click to like the video, you know where to click to subscribe. I hope you guys are all having a nice day wherever you are, and I will see you all next week. Bye!